Hey guys, today we're going to be meeting my mentor and motorsport father, Craig Lowndes, and let's see what he's got to say. Hey, so Craig, got a big question for you. So back when you first started, you jumped into Formula Ford and you won the championship. So can you give us a bit of an insight on how you went about doing that and what team you raced for?
Well, actually, we did it ourselves. So my father and I, we set a 3-year program, and it was the first year was basically to learn the tracks and understand what was going on. We did that in '91. And we actually won the club race, which we raced at Winton. So we won the club race. We did Sandown and Phillip Island, which was the 2 national circuits that we could do during that year, just again to get a feel for the upper level of what Formula Ford level was all about. Second year, '92, we actually kept the same car, the Van Diemen 85, and then we actually, partway through that year, there was another gentleman that I was racing against called David Ratcliffe. He got to a point where he's in his career that he wanted to step out of Formula Ford. He had a later model car, an 89 Reynard. So he offered the car to us to finish that season off, which we did. We campaigned that in the end of '92. We finished 16th in the National Series, which was something, again, just stepping up. And then at the start of '93, we bought a brand new 93 Van Diemen through Van Diemen and did the full season, and we managed to win it. So our program was always about 3 years. Beyond that, we had no other future plans. If we couldn't succeed in those 3 years, we had no idea. So for me, it was lucky in that time frame that I got to race alongside a lot of the supercar teams as well to get recognised. Got to meet a lot of the people like Peter Brock and everyone else over that journey. And at the end of '93, got an offer to be part of the HRT team in '94.
Yeah, that's awesome. So similar to myself, going from Formula Ford to a supercar to a sedan, I'm assuming you had no other previous experience in a sedan. How was it like being on the grid for the first time in a sedan with no previous experience?
Well, you probably can't remember, but the background actually of being here is I actually raced a Triple S Nissan Pulsar in a 12-hour with the Morris brothers, and what that was early in the year in '94, and that whole that plan was if we got an opportunity in October to be part of the 1,000 kilometre, at least I knew the track. So we campaigned the Triple S Pulsar. We won our class. And we had a great time, and I learned the track. But of course, driving a 4-cylinder front-wheel drive Nissan Pulsar, it took me 3 laps to finally get a radio station, and across the top of the mountain is very different to a supercar. So track knowledge was good, car knowledge was bad. And I remember when I first came here in '94, I was about a second and a half off the pace, if not probably more. And I remember it wasn't to a point where Peter Brock actually sat me down, talked me through a lap of the track, where to stop, where to position the car, how to flow it across the top of the mountain, how to approach Skyline, go over the dipper into Elbow and come out of that. It was all those little points that you have to sort of position the car. It wasn't until then I was struggling. So I remember the next time out after having that conversation, I picked up a second a lap. Confidence started to grow, and then, of course, history shows that I finished the race. I wasn't supposed to. So the whole theory was Brad Jones. He was the lead driver. He was supposed to finish the race. He ran out of time. So unfortunately, I had to get back in the car and finish the race, and then we had that great battle with John Bowe and set my career up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So obviously there would have been some hesitation and almost, would you say, nerves when you started in a supercar. How would you sort of give any advice to combat that sort of thing?
I just take it step by step. I think the first thing was obviously to get used to how big the car was. Obviously, it's got a lot of horsepower. You burn up the tyres very quickly. The brakes are pretty consistent, especially the current cars are now a lot more reliable. So you had to be quite careful in the early days not to damage the gearbox or do it, or especially over rev the engine. So for a young person is to take every bit of information you can on board. I know that we've got more data now that you can analyse and you can actually obviously go through, and that's a good telling factor of what the car can do. It's still up to you and the driver to mentally get yourself prepared to be able to do that, and that's really something that the mental strength and the confidence within yourself is really important as a driver growing up. So having a good engineer behind you and a team around you that can give you the car that you want, and also for me, there's been a number of times that an engineer would bring I'd bring the car in, he would just knock a spanner under the car and send me back out and say, well, tell me what the change is. And I'd come back and say, I can't feel it. So you've got to be honest with yourself. If you can't actually feel anything, even if he does make a change, be honest about it, because if you start leading an engineer down a path of no return, it's going to be more difficult. So, and luckily enough, every time that engineer actually did that, I came back with the same answer, and he said, good, because I haven't done anything. So he was just testing me to make sure that I was honest to myself.
Yeah, exactly. So you've watched me for, I reckon, about a year now, sort of been in my corner through test days and the races. If you could give one piece of advice for me for the rest of the year, what would that be?
Believe in yourself. Like, be confident, but believe in yourself, because you've got the ability to be run up the front. And I remember watching you here last year in the October race. You hadn't been here before. You were in the top 5 nearly consistently throughout the sessions. You know, unfortunately, you had your outcome you had, but you showed that you can adapt and you can deliver like a lap time that you need to be, and keep working on what you've learnt. And I know we've talked about lines, especially QR. Lines here are really seriously important to make sure you get it right. Forget about what happened in October, because up until that point you were quick. So bringing that confidence back, make sure you just edge it into it, and then make sure you get the car where you need it. Because if you can't race around here with a car that's 60% right. You need a car that's 90% right, and then you're that last 10%. So it's all about the car. Yeah. But for you, just believe in yourself and grow with it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for your time. It was good.